Hello everyone, welcome to another round of Chitter Chatter. Today we're going to chit chat with author Mala Dasgupta on her book Dosa in Manhattan. Well, the title says it all, isn't it? It's a heartwarming and deliciously layered book. Dosa in Manhattan is for friends, families, and flavors. It's a story that celebrates identity, migration, and belonging, all wrapped in the comforting aroma of food and family. Let's welcome the author and let's get started with this chitter chatter. Hello, welcome to Chitter Chatter.
Hi, Shweta. Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure, and I'm so heartwarmed already having this chit chat with you because when I read the book, I was like literally speechless because I had so many emotions going on, and right now I have so many questions for you. But to begin with, tell me, how does it feel seeing your book out there in the world and being loved so much?
I know that's a question which I keep asking myself because when I finished the book, I told my husband that it felt like my three best friends are leaving me. They're going out in the world. I've lived with them for so long. They feel so real. So I was actually very sad. I told Shubhriya that it's so sad that they're not. He said they're characters. I'm like they're so real to me. So it feels amazing. It feels wonderful.
I can feel you because we got so resonated with the characters that when the book ended, I was like, oh my god, it's like not I wouldn't say the friendship ends, but suddenly your friend is traveling and you don't know when are you gonna get in touch with that friend and how more are you gonna be connected. So I completely feel you on this. So Mala, I want to know what was the very first spark that led you to write Dosa in Manhattan? Was it a single story? Was it a meal? Or a memory where this all got started?
My favorite city in the world is New York City, and my favorite country in the world is India. So one afternoon, we were at Central Park in Manhattan, and when I see the diverse group of people, I hear so many Indian languages, and that's when I got the idea. I have to write a story which blends both my favorite city and my favorite country and my favorite cuisine, Indian food. So that's how the idea started. And because New York, and there's this famous dosa man at Washington Square Park. He's made dosa so famous, and dosa is so comforting because dosa is the Indian crepe. So that's something. If you see in most cultures, most countries, we have something similar. So that's why I chose dosa, because and everywhere we've traveled throughout Europe or in America or in England, dosa is always on the menu, and everybody, you see foreigners sitting and enjoying dosa. So I thought, I wanted to create a title which kind of brings the essence of the story. It's though it's set in Manhattan, it's deeply, deeply Indian. So that's why that's why I got the idea.
Yeah, and your title, it's like such a centerpiece of your narrative and comforting, just like you explained, why it was Dosa and Manhattan. But I also want to ask what inspired you to, like, be like, okay, you know what, this diversity, I want to get it out there.
Yeah. So, I have a habit, I have a hobby, which is pen paling. I have lots of pen pals across a lot of countries. And when I read the letters and when I read about how their lives are and our lives are, I realize that we're all the same, Shweta. It's just that our skin colors are different, our languages and food is different, but essentially what we go through, the pain of losing family, the joy of seeing family, friendship, some friendships which last like a lifetime, some friendships which just fizzle out. It's the same. And people are, some good, some bad, some indifferent. It's all the same. And that's why, and I also want to write stories which go beyond that typical image of India, which is, the bullock cart and the snake charmer.
Yeah.
And because we urban Indians, we our lifestyles are no less than my pen pals in Germany or New York or Los Angeles. So I want to write about us, the global Indian. And even if you have not set foot outside the country at all. You're still a global Indian. Look at the shows we watch. Look at the food we eat. Look at the books we read. I mean, how global are we? So it's time that we sort of talk about everything else, not just the shanties and not Dharavi and not just typical bong things. I'm a Bengali from Calcutta, and I'm tired of all the caricatures and this thing, because of course it's all there, but don't just say India's only about that. India's about
Right.
so much more. So yeah, that's what gave me the idea.
So, having pen pals around and all, did that lead to the tone and texture of your book?
Yeah, because I have pen pals, men and women in the age group late 30s to late 60s, and uh, they're all over the world, and that's when and they're all my friends, and their situations and the things that they go through, it's all the same, and they're so interested in India. And I must tell you this: when I tell them about things which are happening here, or things in India or in my life or in my city, they say, Mala, the local media doesn't show all that. We are
Right.
just stuck with some very, very, cliche images and some cliche reporting. But what you tell us through your letters and emails, that's very different. And that also cemented that idea that, yeah, Dosa in Manhattan has to happen.
How much does the book draw from your personal experiences? And I know all characters are close because you've given them birth, but which is the closest to you?
That the most expected answer would be Ela Roy. No, but actually, I would say Nick. I've always wanted to write from a man's perspective, and say, I'm a woman. This is my second book. And my first book was, I wrote a kind of a part fiction, part memoir from a woman's perspective. So I wanted to challenge myself. I said, let's see, what does a man feel like? A man when he's going through a divorce, a man when he's going through a midlife crisis. So actually a little bit of Vikram, a little bit of Nick. Of course, Ela too shouldn't be left out, but yeah, the men.
There are moments, but any moment that made you like you had to pause and reflect because while writing the scene, it became so emotional that you were overwhelmed and you had to take that pause.
Yeah, because when if you remember the part where Ela meets this American lady Ethel in Paris, and when she goes to talk to her, that was difficult to write because I also drew from my personal experiences. I grew up with an abusive father. I did not have a happy, healthy childhood. I did not have a nurturing home. So that was yeah, because what I wanted to write about is also I wanted to give a positive message that don't let what has happened to you in your childhood define who you are now, because now you
Right.
have the choice. My book is also about the role of choices, how you can choose. Okay, as a child I could not choose my family, I could not choose my home, but now I can choose to live in a serene atmosphere. I can choose to live in a healthy home. I can choose to do things which bring me joy. So that part was a little difficult because I had to really draw from my go back to a dark place buried deep in my memory, but to give it a very, very authentic feel, that was hard to write.
The book beautifully captures and the blend of cultures that you've tried. And, it is more like a painting where you had to blend it so well that you don't really feel the jerk while reading. So, what was that process like?
Shweta, when I grew up in Calcutta, I used to watch I Love Lucy. My dad used to watch that, and he used to make us sit and watch it with him because that was because the school refused to admit me. My English was very poor, so that
Oh,
was his way of that was his way of trying to help us improve our language, our English language. So I grew up on a steady diet of American sitcoms, but at the same time, I'm very, very Indian. and I'm so proud of my Indian heritage. I mean, my favorite filmmaker is Satyajit Ray. It's a cliche for a Bengali, but still, bear with me. So, and that's what I wanted to highlight, that even though I grew up here, I don't have to speak with an American accent. I don't have to shun everything that's Indian. I love our traditions. I love our culture. But I think we should take the best of both worlds, and I think that's the sweet spot. That is the lovely spot to live in. You don't really have to relocate. So this is a wonderful.
What
Actually,
was
we
the
lived in
writing?
London. Yeah, sorry. No, I
Okay.
was telling you that we went to live in London for a couple of years, just 2 3 years back, but we hated it. We were absolutely horrified. We said, "What did we leave behind? We left behind warm weather. We left behind warm people. Left behind the best food for what?" So we said no. Then we came back to India, and that's probably
Sometimes
another. Yeah, that's
sometimes
probably
it's the
another.
void that creates the, like, some things you take so much for granted, especially in your daily life. And it's these little things, that the changes that make you realize that, it's a constant that you really love. And the things that you've taken for granted on your daily life, be it the warm weather, be it the warm people, suddenly are of utmost importance.
Absolutely.
So, what was the writing process like for this book, Dosa in Manhattan?
I do not really have any writing schedule. I write whenever I feel like it. I don't have any target, like I have to write 1,000 words today. Though the best writers recommend that, and I love actually I signed up for the masterclass. I listened to James Patterson, David Baldacci, Michael Lewis, and what I did is I try to take what makes sense to me, like what to do to refine my writing, and how to create timetables and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Chef Ranveer Brar once said in a video that when his son tells him that, why don't you have so many number of views more, his mother tells him do this, his wife tells him do that, and then he says, and I quote, next morning I go to the studio and I do what I want to. So for me, I listen to all kinds of advice, but then I write when I want to. And I feel that I don't force it, and that's another thing. uh, because as a writer, David Baldacci, whose first film was starred Clint Eastwood, he says that writing is not a hobby, it's not a profession, it's not a career, it's a lifestyle. And I think that sums it up best for me. So even if I'm not writing, I'm thinking about something, I'm watching a show, I'm listening to a podcast, it gives me an idea that I should explore it. So that's really my process. It's 24/7, but no process at all.
I think that's what works because, like he said, it's a lifestyle. Like I personally, being an artist and painting, I think you can't force it unless it's a commission art and you have a deadline. But then you exactly know what the person wants also. But when you are expressing, it has to come naturally. And there are some days where it does not come. You can't force yourself to be like, no, I need to sit and write it.
Exactly.
So, how long did the book take since you don't have those 1,000 words a day while principle? How long did the book take to evolve?
It took me about a year, 1 year.
Were there days where in that 1 year you felt, oh my God, why am I going at this snail pace? Or it was like, what's happening? I need to do it faster so that I can go on the next one, or any of those kind of thoughts that came to you?
Yeah, of course. Some days I thought, what the hell am I doing? Just shove it and let's just get on with my life. What's this book about? Do we really have to read a book? Who's going to read? Forget about it. Go back to watching Seinfeld. But then when you are a creative person, and I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying. When you have that thing inside you and you want to express, whether it's through art or a book or a movie, you can't rest till it's out. And even if just one person likes it, you feel that you've done your job.
Absolutely. It's that one person also that makes a difference. Like I was seeing a particular Insta reel of this author. and his book. I'm sometimes very bad with names. The it was with illustrations and quotes and all. The boy, the wolf, and something more. I'm a little lost right now. But his reel said it all. He said, there was this long queue of people because the book became bestseller and it's sold more than 20,000 million copies and all of it. And he said, I was waiting for the book signing. And, there was this long queue. People waited for good 2, 3 hours. And the last man came and I said, so what did you like about the book? He's like, it saved me. I was about to end the life and that book just saved me. And he's like, that day I realized it's not this long queue, but if my book could even save one person, give one person the hope that he looks, I have achieved it as a writer. And yes, it does make a lot of difference. And when y'all write and we all get hope in some way or the other from that book, hats off to you all who write and give us beautiful stories with lessons and hope and so much more. Okay, now tell me, how did the book change you from the beginning till the time you finish? Because there's so much that goes on as a writer, and it does not just the book evolves, but also the writer evolves is something that I feel. So, how did it change you?
I've fallen in love with Calcutta all over again. I left Calcutta when I was about 27 years old. I'm 54 now. And I thought, okay, I'm not going back ever. There's nothing there. And the weather's so humid and people are so angry. Food is so spicy, blah, blah, blah. But while reading, especially when I took Nick to Calcutta and reliving those moments when Nick goes, explores Calcutta and realizes how people in India and Italian people and Indian people, they're so similar. Especially in Calcutta, I make the character say that I'm so at home because people, they're not angry, but that's how they express themselves. They are loud, they have hand gestures. And he says, I feel so much at home. And this is what I've seen when we were in Italy. We've had the good fortune of visiting a few times. And the thing which probably helps my stories is I observe people very closely. I try to see their body language and how they behave, even if I don't understand the language. And when in Italy, be it in Milan or Venice or other places, and the times I went like this, and I said, I feel right at home. I'm from Calcutta. We are this loud. So yeah, so Calcutta, now that when I had to go into my memory bank and think of all the things that I love about my city, my birth city, and this book has made me fall in love with Calcutta again. So I'm going more frequently now.
Oh, nice. Sometimes to love your own city takes a little more.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next for you?
I'm currently writing, trying to write, given my process, trying to write a book of short stories. At this time, I am trying to see how far how funny I can be. It's going to be a story of mostly travel, but again, life. But I want it to be as funny as possible because that's something I live for. I live for comedy, and I think that's the best way to go through life. So that's something I'm working on. It should be out by early next year.
What would you like to say to the readers who are picking up the book right now, the first timers?
Dosa in Manhattan is about, if it can help you think about firstly Indian food. If you are not familiar with Indian food, I hope this book makes you want to go to your nearest Indian restaurant wherever you are, or try something at home. They are very, very well described. One reviewer has said that it made her mouth water the way the Indian food has been described. And that's one thing. If you are not in love with Indian food, I want you to fall in love with Indian food. That's one. Secondly, the book I want to is, my Shweta, my purpose of writing is not that I want to become an author. I've always been a good storyteller. And I love telling stories. When I was working in Bombay, I was working for Movers and Shakers, Shaker Suman's show. And I had to go to my friend's home every weekend to tell them what happened on the sets, which celebrities entertained us. And just for that, I had to travel from the studio Andheri to Kandivali and beyond. And I'm not used to the local trains. I have to sit on the station for like an hour just to go to stations down. And they used to tell me, "Are you crazy? You're from Andheri to Kandivali. You're sitting on the station waiting for an empty train. It will never happen." So yeah, so storytelling is something which I always love. I've been doing it since I was a child. But through my books, I want to amuse and inspire. Amuse because I think laughter is the best thing that can happen to you. If you know how to laugh and you can make others laugh, however little, that's a good day. And secondly, inspire because I myself have had quite a checkered life, but I'm a very happy soul. I love my life, and I through these stories I want to inspire and say that whatever choices you've made and whatever you've gone through, you can still turn your life around and be happy, and don't go by what society tells you. These are the parameters for happiness. No, find out what brings you joy and do you. That's it.
Absolutely. Now we'll have a quick rapid fire. Your favorite dosa type.
Favorite dosa type:
Type.
masala dosa with coriander chutney and coconut chutney. Hold the sambar.
One food that makes you feel home immediately.
That's dal fry with some aloo ki sabzi.
Authors who inspired you.
Um, James Patterson, James Hadley Chase, John Grisham, and also they are not book authors, but comedians Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David.
A book that you love to reread.
Paulo Coelho's Like a Flowing River. It's a beautiful read. You can just pick it up, read one page, and keep it, and it always speaks to me.
Coffee or chai?
Chai, Darjeeling, no less. I'm a very typical Bengali auntie. I want my Darjeeling tea and some very nice biscuits, if possible, very thin, wafer thin cucumber sandwiches.
If Dosa in Manhattan had a soundtrack, what would it be?
Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind.
If main characters, all three of them individually, so this question will be with each character and then followed, walked into your kitchen, what would you cook for each one of them?
Okay. For Ela, I would cook. I'll cook. She's from Calcutta, so maybe I'll give her aloo sheddo. That's mashed potatoes, Bengali style. Vikram. Vikram, I'll give him. He's a Punjabi, so Vikram, I'll give him a nice chole, rajma, chole, lobia. I love lobia. And Nick, okay, Nick loves Indian food. To Nick, I have to pay more attention. I have to give him a nice pulao, chicken biryani.
Nice. And lastly, if you could serve your book as a meal, and what flavor would linger on?
What flavor would linger on? I think the spices, especially that aroma of garam masala, cardamom, cinnamon, and cloves crushed together, because that's the smell usually it's there lingering in my kitchen. So yeah, garam masala.
And what would be the dish besides it if it wasn't dosa? If you could serve your book as a meal, what would it be?
It would be home style chicken curry with lots of potatoes, half cut in half.
Thank you, Mala, for such a heartwarming chat. And I'm so hungry after our chitter chatter because there's so much food. What's happening?
I was about to add that for color, a lot of fresh chopped coriander on top, and then some white basmati rice on the side. We have to go and have that now.
Yeah, like suddenly I'm like super hungry after our chitter chatter. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing these lovely stories, for making us connect to our roots in a very simple way. and giving us a story that feels like home. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shweta. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.